Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be going into all the details for zMonk in Season 16, and joining me is going to be Micah, who has countless hours on Monk and playing zMonk at the highest ranks on the leaderboard in hardcore mode, so I wanted him to join me so I could pick his brain and kind of get his thoughts on how to play zMonk effectively, so let's get into it. Alrighty, and now I am going to be joined by Micah. Can I bring you on screen, or are you wearing that hideous Path of Exile shirt still?
Yeah, just let me zip my hoodie up real quick.
Alright, Micah, you're on screen now. So, hey, what's up? I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of let us know how your season's been going and all that.
Hi, I'm Micah. I'm in the North American clan NCG. I've been playing with NCG for a while. Kind of going a little bit easy this season. School is really ramping up. I'm on my last 2 semesters. I'm a senior, so not getting to play as much as I'd like to. But I'm enjoying the Roarg buff. It's, opened up a lot of avenues for unique and intuitive builds to a certain extent. So yeah, it's pretty fun so far. It's certainly refreshing as opposed to the double this and double that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a cool idea. It makes me wonder what they're going to do for next season, like automatic lawn or something, like without the rings. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I would really like that, like lawn, but you could have cube like 2 rings or something. I think that'd be really cool.
Well, I guess, I brought you here to talk zMonk. I know you play a lot of Monk. So yeah, I'll kind of pull up your profile and inspect you, and if you want to just kind of walk us through how to properly gear and play a zMonk for the XP meta first.
All right, so for the XP meta with Charge Barb, we stack for our skills. We stack movement speed, increasing abilities, because the barbs, I think it's the spear called Standoff, increases your damage by I want to say 500%, or by 500% of your move speed. So that's the explanation from your skills, because you see you don't have Epiphany and you don't have Blinding Flash. So that facilitates a little bit more damage there. But as far as gear goes, pretty standard. You're gonna have, since we have the Roarg buff natively, we're gonna only have 3 pieces of Enas on to give the party-wide 4-piece bonus. Shoulders, standard Lefebvre's. You want to prioritize CDR and globes with as high secondary as possible. The secondary doesn't really look important, but in hardcore, that can certainly be the difference between life or death sometimes. Since we get to drop the belt, the best choice or best alternative to the Inna belt would be the Vigilante belt. Now it'll give us a little bit more CDR along with our Leorics. And then let's see. Ideally you want a Hellfire with attack speed cooldown or RCR cooldown. Or maybe since we have an engine, you might want to go attack speed RCR. It really, depends on how much you're cycloning here and there, or things of that nature. But generally, one or two of the 3 rolls should be really nice. I would say prioritize CDR if you have a low CDR. Currently, with no Gogok stacks, I'm at 73% standing in town, so that's pretty decent.
Can I stop you for a sec? If somebody doesn't have a Hellfire, like they're just kind of throwing together a zMonk, what amulet would you try to go for?
If you're throwing together a zMonk, as far as amulet, I would prioritize globes above all. You could use a Blackthorn's amulet if you needed to, but if you have a little bit more leeway than that, you could use an S of Johann, which is the amulet that you would normally put on your follower, like say if you're soloing. That would give you a little bit extra grouping in addition to your Cyclone Strike. And maybe an immunity neck, such as the Azkaranth or Zephyrian or Countess Julia's cameo, something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Those would also be solid options as well if you had, you know, the required roles.
Okay, cool.
And if you don't have an amulet with globes, like say it's really early season or you're just getting into zMonking, if you don't have one with globes, you know, it's okay. You know, you'll find one. It's not imperative that you have globes on every single piece, but you want it on as many pieces as possible as usual.
Mm-hmm. And for those who have never played zMonk or something, why is it so important to have the plus health globes on every roll?
Okay, so normally as a zMonk, you're going to be running Epiphany with Soothing Mist. But with this particular speed setup we use in NCG, and elsewhere, of course, lots of other people are using this build. You run Inner Sync with Intervene, and Intervene scales on the amount of globes you have. So if you're intervening like all the time with Engine up, you're going to be healing your party. Mine says 100k damage right now, and it's increased by 28% of my health globe bonus. My health globes are 188 right now, which is pretty decent. It's not amazing, but it's decent. So I'm going to be spamming Intervene, which is going to be granting a huge shield for my allies at all times. It's right now I'm getting 160k shield just from hitting this. And with Engine, it's basically healing for 160k like all the time. But yeah, that's why it's really important to have globes on your gear. So shoulders, chest, amulet, and jewelry and boots are the only items that can have globe healing.
Okay.
Okay, and so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you can feel free to continue. I think you were at like bracers next or something.
Yeah, so bracers are pretty standard. You're gonna either have strong arms or nemesis bracers, depending on what's better rolled. Generally, on all your non-class specific gear, so that would be Leoric's crown and illusory boots and vigilante belt and strong arm bracers, you're going to want to have int, vit, all res, and like life per hit or life per second or armor is really, really good as well. And then you're going to want that maxed out secondary with strong arm bracers. And for your, instead of lightning res on my strong arms, you want knockback percent. So the higher knockback percent you have, the more the strong arm buff is up more often.
And then, you know, for a newer player, why would you want intelligence on a monk?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a really good question. So the higher Paragon you get, the more Paragon you're going to have to put into your main stat. And for Z characters, you usually just throw all of your Paragon into your Vit main stat as opposed to your Dex main stat. But the reason you want to stack int on all your gear, and if you look closely, all my gear is ogged with Vit, which is a poor choice. I ogged this guy really into the really early into the season, in season 15, I believe. And I didn't have a lot of Paragon, so I ogged with Vit, so I'd be tankier. But once your Paragon gets up there, int gives you a lot of all res, and it gives you a lot of tankiness. So being a Dex class, pretty much the only thing that's going to wreck you is going to be Arcane or like Moltens can really chunk you really hard. So it's important to have intelligence on your gear along with Vit and Dex.
So it's actually better to Aug int than Vite?
Yeah, that is correct. At a certain point, int is going to be way stronger than Vit or even Dex, just because of the diminishing returns that you get from the bonuses from extra Vit or extra Dex.
When does that shift happen? Like 2K Paragon, 2500, 1500?
That's another hard question. So I linked you a D3 planner where so in my experience with most of my monks, I like to keep them at around like 2.5, 2.7 mil HP. I feel like if you have any more than that, you're going to see a lot of diminishing returns with VIT.
Okay.
Above that. So at that point, you're going to either want to aug int or start paragoning dex. Like on this particular monk, I have around half my paragon in VIT and half my paragon in dex. So it's really hard to say. Easiest way is to D3 planner it and just see what your toughness looks like with all your buffs up and with VIT augs and int augs, and you can really see the difference. But past that, I would say around the 2.5 to 2.750 HP mark, you're going to see a lot better returns with int versus just straight up VIT augs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then your ring. So Zodiac, you're just going to want, this is not my Z Zodiac, but you're going to want attack speed, cooldown, RCR. And of course, globes that we talked about earlier. And same with your Oculus ring. You want attack speed, RCR, cooldown. I had life rolled on it because I was really squishy at the time. And then you're going to want globes, and then your maxed out legendary affix. Let's see. So for your illusories, you're going to want your ints, your VIT, your all-res, and armor with a nice little int aug. And of course, you want as high a globe roll as you can find. My globe roll on these boots are almost perfect. So
yeah, those are really, really good illusory boots.
Yeah, I was pretty happy when they dropped last season. And then for your weapons, you're going to want Engine for that incredible legendary affix. And since it's speeds, it's going to be procced all the time, so you're going to be able to dash like a madman and spam sync and heal all your people like a madman. And then Crystal Fist is just going to give you that little bit of extra DR, because with this build you do have to drop spirit guards, and that's going to decrease your survivability substantially as opposed to having them.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
for sure. The bracers that give you toughness every time you use a generator, is that what those do?
Yeah. They every time you use a generator, you gain 60%, up to 60% damage reduction.
Yep. And did you cover the passives before?
Yeah, so I can go over them real quick. So Chain of Resonance is going to allow you to spam your mantra of Conviction, which is going to give you that speed buff I was talking about. And Beacon of Etar is just going to give you all that more cooldown for more Sanks and more healing. And then CZ Initiative is going to give you the extra attack speed for more generation of your spirit. And then I have Resolve on my Hellfire. If you don't have a Hellfire, I would say drop CZ Initiative, because Resolve is an incredible damage reduction passive that the monks get. It reduces damage enemies do by 20%, I believe, for 4 seconds. So it's 4 seconds of 20% damage reduction from them. And that really helps out the squishier DPS characters. And of course, if you're playing hardcore, I would suggest having a near-death experience. Saves you from death, as the title suggests.
Cool. And then any general tips for playing the monk during XP runs that you wanted to go over?
Oh, let me hit the cube real quick. I forgot.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
So for cube, you want Nahavarian Spear of Lycander. That's just going to give you just a very RNG buff, but it can really help a lot. You probably saw this a lot, the Z-Neck iteration when the rat runs are a big thing.
Yep.
Nimbracers and Strong Arms are interchangeable, and then Band of Root Chamber is going to give you the extra spirit for more and more Mantra Spam and Cyclone Strike.
Okay. Cool.
And general tips, you say? Well, generally, it's hard to say, because there's so much that can happen in rifts that you have to be very attentive to, and I would say play a lot so you can get good at it. You'll know what to do more often, especially in hardcore. If someone procs, you'll know what you need to do to protect them, to save them. And where to set up, generally with speeds, you're just going to be jumping on elites or jumping on large packs of trash that would equate to, you know, 5 to 9% of juice on your rift bar. You know, not setting up in bad spots like close to walls, or, you know.
Do you want to go down and show that?
Yeah. We can use Halls of Agony level 2 as a good illustration for this concept. So as you'll see right here, say there's an elite here. So if y'all set up on the, say, okay, so you're coming from down here. Okay, so this is the future. Say there's an elite here. If you go 2 screens this way, not only can the barb pull the elite from over there, he could pull from over here, and he can pull from the future up here in the north.
So you have a chance to get a larger grouping up here at this intersection instead of just stopping at the elite, and then you don't have as large of a surface area to pull from because you've already cleared from behind you.
Exactly. So having the future and the past to make this setup more time efficient.
Yeah, because we can still bring the elite from behind, but we can also group up stuff from ahead.
Exactly. And you'll see this all the time with higher tier group streaming. They won't just jump instantly on the pack and then, you know, move forward from there, unless it's like a pack unless there's nothing in the future that they shouldn't move to. Generally, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna want to, you know, kind of take a guess and be like, you know what, it'd be way better, you know, to set up here because there's potentially a lot more stuff in the future that could make this a better setup, net us more progression, and thus saving us more time. They are speeds after all, so taking that into consideration is pretty paramount when you're trying to run a efficient group.
Cool. And does that cover most of the XP stuff before we get into kind of what changes if you're going higher?
As far as rotation, you just want to keep your dashing strike up. It's going to apply your legendary gems. It's going to apply your ice blink. Nothing changes for your legendary gems. It's going to apply your ice blink. It's going to reproc your Gogok, and it's going to apply Gem of Efficacious Toxin. Your generator is going to do that as well, and keep Breath of Heaven and Mantra Conviction activated, and just sink like a madman and try to cyclone everything in before the barbs suck everything in, or before they DR or diminishing returns of CC values. So before they just make it impossible to cyclone.
Which is the longer or the more that you affect an elite, the more it becomes resistance to it.
Exactly. So like say they get charged twice, you're not really going to be able to cyclone in too much at all. So it's important to be there in such a way that allows you to group it up before the barb gets there. Or if the barb is just charging everything ahead of you, you might want to talk to him because he's slowing you down because you can't group anything.
Okay.
Yeah, other than that, just have fun. Enjoy the paradigm.
Yeah. And then for what is there anything that changes when you go higher, like for leaderboard spots or?
Yeah, so for the higher pushing, at least in hardcore, it's going to be a lot more defensive for the monk because it is one of the squishier members of the party. You're going to see for your weapons, you're going to want Little Rogue and Slanderer. The Spirit Guards we were talking about earlier, going to want those as well. Passives don't really change that much. You probably will drop Chance of Resonance or Seize the Initiative for Unity. It really depends on your gear and the RCR you have to see if you can facilitate or afford dropping one or the other. It really depends on your gear. But yeah, for everything else, you're going to want to see the same rolls. You're going to want CDR, RCR, attack speed on pretty much as many pieces you can get it on, prioritizing CDR and globes over everything though.
Yeah, it looks like the rest is the same besides the weapons and the bracers and a couple passives. What about the skills? Looks like you're running an EPIF.
Yeah, so you're going to want Epiphany, Soothing Mist, so every time you attack or use an ability, you're healing with the health globe bonus you get from Soothing Mist. And when you stack a lot of globes, it's a pretty considerable amount of healing. Not to mention while you're spamming Time of Need, which is I see a 90k shield. So every time I hit time of Need, it's 90,000, essentially 90,000 healing, which is really not too shabby. And then Crippling Light's going to give you a lot of damage reduction, 25% to be exact. And then Cyclone Implosion for the pools, and you're going to want the Inner Sanctuary that gives basically anyone on it Ignore Pain to the effect that it can't get CC'd or knocked back or frozen or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as playing it in group, it's going to be, if you're pushing really high, like towards the end of the extent of your DPS's capability, you're going to want to coordinate with your Barb. Your Barb should know where to set up, and you should, follow him. If he makes a bad setup, I might communicate with him that, it's better over here, or let him know perhaps he doesn't see something you do. But generally, you're going to want to set up equidistance from all walls. Like, say, from right here, I'm equidistance from the waypoint, the blacksmith, the armory, and Covetous Shen over there. You don't want to be closer to an edge, because most DPSs currently work off area damage, and having the maximum amount of mobs around that will really give you the best results with the DPS you have.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. Alrighty, well, I think it's been about 20 minutes. I don't want to take too much of your time. Is there anything you wanted to kind of say in closing here, or, what you're planning on doing, streaming or anything, or any kind of last thoughts here?
Last thoughts on zMonk, I would say, is ask questions and be open to criticism and advice. There are always people who've played more with you. I've played more than you. I've played this game for, it's getting close to 10,000 hours, and there's still stuff I don't know, and there's still people better than me at it. So just stay humble and know that there are always ways you can improve in any role, whether it be solo or a Z character or a DPS in group, in any role. And it's really paramount that you keep an open mind and just try to strive for greatness, as they say.
Makes sense to me. Sounds like good advice.
I try, dude.
Well, anything you wanted to plug at the end here?
Nah, man. I'm just streaming /Micah TV. Just kind of streaming very, very irregularly and poorly because I'm busy with school and all that good stuff. So
yeah,
maybe I'll see you there. Well, no, we'll see.
Cool, for sure. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come, let me pick your brain about zMonk.
Oh, dude, no problem. It's my pleasure, dude. zMonk's probably one of my favorite roles to play, and I enjoy it immensely. There's just so many intricacies inside. Like, people just say, oh, you're just setting up sync and you're punching. Well, it's a lot more than that, and it takes a lot of time to realize all the little things you can do to make yourself better and benefit the party more. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I learned a lot, so yeah, take it easy, man. I'll see you around. Thanks for doing the video with me.
Anytime, dude. Thanks. You have a good evening.
You too. We'll see you, man.
See ya.
Alrighty, that's going to do it for this video on zMonk for Season 16. I will drop some links down in the video description where you can either check out Micah or click on the build links for the two different zMonk builds, both for XP and for going higher on the leaderboard. If you want, something to look at and see the build and kind of be able to click through it and scroll through. And also if you want to check out Micah and see more from him. So yeah, big shout out to Micah for taking the time to do this with me. And as always, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Peace.